Round 4 is over, and I'm glad it is, because it was just awful. The entire weekend, I scored 1,705, which was a round rank of 28,000. This is by far my worst for the season and a big reality check. I'll go through my team now, starting it off with Dane Zorko, who was massively disappointing. He didn't have many marks and just one tackle. Zorko struggled to get involved and didn't receive many chip marks. Against Richmond, I had him penciled in for a huge score, which is why I picked him. And he scored probably 50 points less than I expected and even less than I hoped for. The damage is done, and he was probably a bad pick, but hopefully he can put up a ceiling score in one of the next few games, and at least I didn't captain him. My big worry is that his role isn't as secure as we once thought. Of course, he's still playing off the halfback, but he's not the only one there anymore. Jasper Fletcher played very well off the halfback, putting up career-high numbers. Maybe the Lions were just trying something new against Richmond, but this could be very concerning. Anyway, moving on, and in the same game was Jaden Short, who managed a 97, which is great. Not much to say about him. He was always going to be a great pick and can hopefully push close to the top 6 defenders. Matt Roberts wasn't great. I'll take a 78, but I was really hoping for more. And his teammate delivered that, which I'll talk about in just a second. He's still averaging 90 though, so I can't be too unhappy, and everyone has him. Miles Bergman was outstanding to finish with a big score after having only 6 points in the first quarter. He had a huge 75 points in the middle 2 quarters, which was great to see, and although the Saints are normally a great matchup, it was a low-scoring affair, with him one of 2 Port players to score a ton. I went from angry to happy so quickly, as he just racked them up. He just manages to find a way, even though he doesn't take kickouts or receive too many chip marks. Joel Freyer was just terrible, and I will be trading him, I'd say. He doesn't have the role anymore and just couldn't get near the footy. He only scored 44 points, which is horrendous, and also 81 less than Riley Bice, who was on my bench. I used Zach Reed to loop and ended up taking Sam DeConing's score of 84. DeConing was playing pretty much all back from what I saw, so I've got to be pleased with the numbers he produced, but he won't last long in my team now, I think. Especially with my other defensive rookies playing so well. Riley Bice didn't just play well either. He was genuinely superb. 125 points is about double what I expected, and there is surely no way he gets dropped anytime soon. Yes, it's a shame I had him on the bench, but at least I had him for that huge price rise, and everyone is going to need to jump on him now. What a game he had. And Luke Traynor was also great once again, putting up 74 in my utility, and it's a shame I didn't get him or Bice on field when I had so many premiums scoring worse. I may try to put another rookie on field in the back line, and it would be great if I could use someone to loop, but I doubt Reed gets dropped. Before I get into my terrible midfield, please subscribe to make me feel slightly better about this terrible week. Let's see if we can get to 900 subscribers this week, which would be awesome after we recently cracked the 800 mark. So yeah, if you are one of the many out there who aren't subscribed, please take a couple seconds to help me out. My captain Connor Rosie had me extremely worried, and I'm still far from happy with him. Like Bergman, he had 6 points in the first quarter. Then he racked up for a huge second quarter. But the tag came back in the second half, and he struggled a lot. If it wasn't for the heap of free kicks he received, it could have been ugly. It was a very bad decision to captain him going into the Windhager tag, which I didn't consider enough. That's 2 games in a row now with an 84, and hopefully he'll be okay in the future. Now for Petrarca, who's somehow managed to get worse again. In fact, his score has gone down every single week. Like Zorko, he couldn't even crack an 80, which is just not good enough. Also, like Zorko, he didn't mark or tackle, and not even a couple of goals could save him. Half the time, Melbourne just don't use him, even though he's probably their best player. And the other half, he's just disinterested and doesn't want the ball. But forward status would be nice, I guess. His teammate Oliver was good again, though, with 104 points. Geelong should have been a really good matchup for both of them, and at least Oliver sort of capitalised. 31 touches for him, and he is right back to his best, or at least close to it. I'm so glad I held Jason Horne-Francis because he was finally back and hungry for the ball. I'm surprised his score wasn't even bigger because he was great and booted a few goals. This is why I said we shouldn't trade him out. He has bad patches every year, but he also had good patches and puts up ceiling scores. For people who don't have him, he might even be an option that they consider trading back in. 125 is a very good score, and I think we might see some more big scores from him in the coming weeks. Adam Chera did well to manage 105 because it wasn't looking great at three-quarter time. He had a good first half, but then had a 10-point quarter, which he has done every single game. However, he had a big last quarter, which included him getting about 20 points in 30 seconds, which was great to see. Murphy Reed scored 53 points, which is pretty good again, even if it didn't get counted in my score. He's quietly making a good amount of cash, but hopefully I won't need to field him next week. Levi Ashcroft was back with a solid score of 82. I say solid, but at more than half my premiums, so I've got to be pleased with it. I'll be very confident fielding him when we are back to 22 players counting. Christian Moraes was all right for 54 points. I was hoping for a bit more, but he still made plenty of cash. I held Lindsay and Nevitt on the bench, which I'm fine with because I traded out 2 red dots anyway. Hopefully they are both back this week, and otherwise I'll have to decide if I hold them for another. My rucks were far from great, with Zeri once again letting me down. He scored just 78 points and is not looking anywhere near the level he was at last year, at least from a fantasy perspective. He's just not tackling and also struggling with the other areas of his game. He's averaging half as many tackles as he did last year and opting to handball far more as well. I wouldn't rule out going down to Briggs from him. And Tom de Koning also had his first poor score of the season with just 82 points. We've come crashing back down to reality here, but he's still been a great pick overall. He actually did well to get to an 80 because in the first 20 minutes or more of the third quarter, he had scored -3 points and was on 48 total. Jack McRae was a captain option for many and he started well. Then, out of nowhere, he had a 4-point quarter and was not looking good. He had a very good final term to make it to 84, so it wouldn't have mattered if I captained him or Rosie. Isaac Rankin was a really tough watch. I mean, he played really well. He had double-digit clearance and the most contested possessions on the ground. However, he didn't score well and slowed down a lot in the third term in particular. The Suns really went after him, often having players bumping his and just being very physical on and off the ball with him. He also had his calf strapped after halftime, so hopefully there is no injury there. But the big issue was frees against. He had 5 frees paid against him, and most were holding the ball, so he actually could have scored very well if he just got rid of it earlier. And then there was the very controversial call at the end of the game, which was 100% a mark, which cost me a good amount of points and cost the Crows a game. But it does seem that teams would rather put attention on Rankin, who only had 32 points in the second half, than Dawson, who scored 84 in the final 2 quarters. That sucked too, because I was hoping he would put up another low score, and he is taking this season away from me. Bailey Smith was just great again, and he's averaging well over 120 points, which is just huge for someone who missed so much footy. Again, I need to start considering him more as a captain option, because he has been awesome and is filling in all his stat lines. And Caleb Daniel was okay, but not great. Well, he was great in the first half where he scored 68 and looked like he would have a big score. But then in the second half, he only had 20 points, which prevented any ceiling scores. Hugo Garcia also started very well and then just disappeared completely. He scored 8 points in the final 2.5 quarters of footy, which is genuinely awful, especially for someone who usually has good points per minute. Sam Davidson didn't let me down at least, scoring a solid 65, and I will definitely be fielding him when best 18 is over, because I am comfortable with him scoring safe 60s, and he has also shown us a big ceiling. Ted Closey wasn't great again, scoring just 40, and I'm starting to think that 90 was just very lucky. And Connor Stone was also poor for just 28 points. So that's the team. It was very bad, but I don't even get how it was bad enough for a near 30,000 round rank. I've now moved backwards 6,000 ranks this week, which just sucks after a pretty good start to the year. But I'm still inside 10k, so it's not the end of the world. My +3 is Jason Horne-Francis for finally delivering a decent score and saving me from further humiliation. My -3 is for premiums. Genuinely, all of them. The highest score for any of my 6 players priced over 900,000 was an 84. I'm talking about guns of the comp here. Petrarca, Rosie, McRae, Zeri, De Koning, Zorko, and not one of them scored an 85. That is shocking. And then there was also Rankine and Roberts, not much cheaper, who didn't even put up a 70 or 80 respectively. And meanwhile, we have Riley Bice, priced under 300k, putting up 125. This game is just a joke. But my trades were good. I'm happy with them. 2 red dots for Marias and Bice, who made a combined 150,000, is great. A lot of captain options struggled this week, so I didn't think I'd do too bad, but Rosie just wasn't good enough. I didn't consider the tag, but I was so confident that Zorko would deliver. I have no clue how he didn't even manage 80 points against Richmond of all team. But I should have gone Bailey Smith VC. Hindsight is a beautiful thing. The reason for my poor score is also a lack of ceiling scores, with 13 of my 18 scores that counted being between 77 and 105. I also missed all of the popular players who did well. Sheasel, Dawson, Sanders, etc. My team is going to need a big reshuffle after that miserable display. My plan is to trade Fryer and bring Bice onto field in the backline. Then I'll target a good midfielder like Sarong or maybe Sam Doherty who popped. I'm not too sure yet. With my other trade, as I said, I wouldn't rule out Zeri, but if Nevitt isn't playing, he could go. And also Hugo Garcia, who I wouldn't be confident putting on my field. We'll have a look at the overall rankings now. The highest score for the round was a 2,035 by Chelsea, and I don't know how someone has scored this high, because for me, this week was just pure chaos. And the overall leader is still Jacob, who is currently sitting just under 8,000 points, which is more than 400 ahead of me. I'm also about 250 points off of hat range, which is a lot this early on. And in the Open League, Jacob of course still leads. We also 6 others in the top 1,000, and I've dropped down to 25th, which is pretty sad. Hopefully next week will be better. I had a decent amount of cash banked and held people on my bench. This combined with an extreme lack of luck for a bad round score, but it should get better. I dodged bullets, like O'Driscoll, so hopefully I can land some big trades this week. Let me know how you went below, and of course, make sure you are subscribed.